Um, so we have around 4 topics to discuss today. Okay.
Okay.
I think we covered till here. I think, yeah, the node bone thing and then basic thing about npm and how to set a. I was talking about different node modules, HTTP modules, FS module, this read write, this file system modules, all the different modules that are there, and the path module, OS module, all these built-in modules. Next, okay, today let's start with event loop. Okay, this is a very important topic and is 100% questions in any interview. Okay. Okay. First of all, I've written some notes over here. Let's go through each one by one and I try to explain. Basically, what is event loop? Event loop is common to JavaScript. Okay, and basically it allows Node.js to perform non-blocking input-output operations, despite JavaScript being single-threaded. JavaScript is single-thread. We all know, right? Let me remove this. JavaScript, what it does, it executes everything line by line. So if I'm having a set timeout, yeah, and I'm some time is there, okay? And if I just log here, two, log here, one, and if I log here, three. So what will be the order of output here? It is 1, 3, and after 3 seconds, it will write 2. Right? So it is executing line number 1, then it tries to execute line number 3, but this is a blocking code because there is a callback over here which is handling some. It is taking some time. That means this to execute line number 3, it will take 3 seconds. Right? So that's the reason it moves to the next step. So it executes 3, line number 7, then it comes back to line number 3 and execute it. Right? Clear, right? This much. So JavaScript is blocking. Sorry, not blocking. I'm just telling it is single threaded. Okay. And that means it executes line by line, one line after the other line. It's not like there is no multi-threading concept in the JavaScript. It's single thread. That means execute line by line. That means we know. Okay. It does this by offloading operations to the, okay. Now, if there is a blocking code, that means something which takes time. What can be, those kind of, blocking code are there. Blocking code can be file system access. Okay, maybe database access. Okay, maybe API calls or something else, right? Network something, network related something. Okay, okay. So these are all the blocking code. Blocking code means it will take some time. Okay, so these things, these kind of code, to handle it, JavaScript uses what? It uses callback, promise, right, or async await, right, to handle blocking code, right? This much we know. Now, so through these three techniques, JavaScript handles the blocking code so that we don't delay with the execution. I mean, there's the user shouldn't see any delay to its task execution. Okay, so suppose you have done an application using Java or .NET or Node.js, there shouldn't be any difference between Node.js and some application developed in Java. Java is multi-threaded, so it can handle that, but Node is also a single-threaded language, but through these callbacks, promises, and async await, it can behave as a multi-threaded language because we are taking this blocking code and putting them inside the callback or promises or async await, which handles that. Okay. Now, how it handles is through event loop. Okay. So we know that this is handled, blocking code is handled by this, but how it is handled, the answer is through event loop. Okay. Understood this much, Sasan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are executing line by line, line by line by line. So this is the example that I gave. To make the execution of code non-blocking, we can offload the blocking code using a callback. Yeah, using a callback we can do, and then the or promises or async event. Event loop examples are like database, file system, I said everything. Call stack execute. Okay. Now coming to the event loop, there are a lot of videos in YouTube explaining event loop, but let me explain in a very simple manner what happens exactly. Okay, let's go to Excel draw. Let's draw a diagram here. Okay, now okay, now this is the event loop. Okay. I'll just create some request here. Okay. So this is maybe request one. So this is request two, and number of requests is there. So one guy is want to access the database. Okay, and one guy wants to access some network something, whatever. So both are handling blocking code, right? So event loop, what it does is that in the event loop, there is something called the call stack. Okay, this is called a call stack. Now this call stack, what it does, whatever simple code is there, which is non-blocking, right? That will be executed. That will be executed first. Okay, and then whatever basically whatever blocking code is there, that means what we written in callbacks or promises, that is stored inside a queue. Okay, so this is a queue. Okay, and in this queue, what it has all this. Basically there are two different queue, one for callback and one for promises. Okay, let's create that queue also. I think this queue is called micro task. I'm forgetting the name, but this is called a micro task, if I remember correctly. So this microtask queue will manage all the promises, means all data that is there using promises. And this queue, I forgot the name of this queue. Please handle callback. Okay. So line, all these are getting executed one. So okay, let me open this. The canvas is not becoming smaller. Right. Okay. Okay. Anyway, it is not becoming smaller. Okay. Let's consider this example only. So line number one is having this console log. So what will happen is that line number one is entering into the call stack. It is getting executed. Okay. It is executed and moving out of the call stack after getting executed. Okay. Then what happens? Line number two comes. Line number two has this callback set timeout, right? This callback. Now this, when it comes for execution, so it will not go to the call stack, right? So JavaScript says that, okay, this is not a simple code, it's a blocking code. So what it will do is that it will move that particular code, basically this code. But not going on. Anyway, No, it is not going away. This one. Yeah. We have to do it again. Okay, now this is clear. So that callback that is going in, if it's a callback, it goes to this queue. If it is a promise, then it goes to one more I'll create from here to here. Okay. So once line number one is executed, now we have a callback. Sasang, are you there? Are you understanding?
Yeah.
So this line number one gets executed first. It comes to the callback, call stack here. It gets executed, moves out. Then what should be executing? Line number two is there. Now there is a callback over here, so that it will not move into the call stack. What it will do is that it will move into the queue here, in this queue, because this queue handles the callback. Okay. Then it goes to the line number three. It says, is there any blocking code, any callback, any promises? No, right? So simple one log is there. So it will move to the call stack. Right. And when the call stack is empty, that means line number one and line number three is getting, after getting executed, the call stack is empty because those got executed. Then this callback will move from this queue, right? It moves from this queue to the callback to get as a call stack to get executed. Similarly, for the promises also, it will move from the microtask promises to the call stack. Okay, and this loop continues till all the lines of code are getting executed. Understood? So basically, there are multiple. See, imagine that in Amazon, in every 1 second, around 2 lakh, 3 lakh, 5 lakh people are accessing Amazon, right? Someone wants to access the database, some wants to access something else, right? In that case, how these guys, if they would have built in Node.js, how they would have done. So all the blocking code, the developer might have written inside callbacks or promises or async await, so that these queues are there. These queues and microtask queue for promise and normal queue is for the callback. I forgot the name of this queue. That is getting in orderly fashion. It is in,
Macro task. It is macro task.
this is microtask queue. This queue I forgot for handling callback.
Macro task.
Might be. I am not sure. So this,
Yeah.
if there are multiple callbacks, one callback after the call, other will be executed. Okay. So in the call stack, the lines will be executing one by one. But if it is a blocking code, then it is moved into this queues. And when the call stack is empty after execution, then okay, there is a priority order between callback and promise. Promise has higher priority than callback. Okay, all the promises will be executed, then the callback will be executed. Okay, this is how in a loop wise manner this execution happens. Okay, this is a very simple approach in how I explain. There are a lot of good, you know, uh, okay. This is event loop images. Let's type event loop Node.js images, so that we'll see some images, very good images of how this guy will. Yeah, this is also very good example. Okay, let's see. Okay, some requests are there. It is coming. So the event loop, what it will does, whatever lines are there. Okay, these are intensive operations. Okay, same like how I explained. File system database computation. These are all time-taking tasks. So what it does is that whenever the request is coming, if there is any callback or promises or async event, so it will register those callbacks. Okay, but not execute it. It will register it, which means that register means it is moving to the queues basically. Okay, and whenever the call stack is empty, then it will go and execute this, so the operation will be completed. This is the loop, like, so it is a single threaded, but because there are ways in which it is handling the blocking code, so it is able to execute it, right? This is the event loop. I explained it a little deeply, but yeah. So this is the call stack. See, call stack one by one it will be executed, and in the in the queue it will be there. So the event loop is just a loop like manner it. So the work of the event loop is basically what? It always checks whether the call stack is empty or not. That's it. Nothing else. It checks if the call stack is empty, it will push the content that is there in the queue into the call stack to get executed. That's it. That's the task of the event. If there is a normal line of code to get executed, it will directly come into the call stack. If it's a callback, then it will move to the queue. And event loop keeps on checking whether the call stack is empty or not. Whenever it is empty, it will push the line of code that is to be executed in that is there in the queue. It will be pushing, and then the promises queue has a higher priority than the callback. That's it. That is about event loop. Okay. Now, the same thing I explained everything. Okay, event loop for code example. Yeah. In code, how will it? So in the read file, write file we have done, right? So in the okay, let me write. So this is read file. Okay, and this is write file. So this is handling asynchronous. Okay, so I just write here require from which mode? File system mode, right? How we are reading file. So I just write here read file, right? So read file will be taking the path from where I'll be reading content slash first txt, and I will give the more in the, and then I will be having the callback here. So this callback will receive what? Basically, it will receive the file that is read. Maybe I just write a request and response. Just explain it. Okay. So I just check if. Okay, let me go to the example because I'm forgetting. Yeah, error and result basically not request response because we are not handling any API call over here. If there is an error, it will return the error. Okay, and there is a result, then the reading is completed is what we will know. Okay, that is what we are doing, right? So this will be error not request error, and this is the result. So it is saying if there is an error, so then return. But before return, I have to write here log to know what is the error. That means the read of the file has not happened. So if there is no error, then there is a, you can read the file, right? That means you read the file. So I'll just write the result over here. Okay. Now, if there is a write, then if after the reading immediately you have to do the write, then you have to use the write file, right? And you have to mention the path. Maybe I'll just create here. See, so many files I've written. For write, this is which example event to write. This path, what I'm writing, whatever we are returning result. Right, like this, so like this, I have to write. So basically, this is asynchronous, right? So we have to write this. That I can write like this. What is the syntax? It is saying that okay, path I wrote, the data that I'll be writing, and then the callback that is correct. And the callback will tell whether it's the writing is success or not. Same like error and response. I can print whether the writing is successful or not, like that we were writing, right? So that is an example of how we can use a callback to handle the blocking code. Why it is blocking code? Because obviously file system, when you're reading something, it takes time. When you're writing something, it takes time, right? So here also the same thing. Maybe I just expect that, okay, the write has been done properly. So I'll just write here the result. Okay. If I just execute this part, what will happen? Hello, this is the first text file. I read it, and then the result will be, okay, let's go and check whether the write event loop file is there or not, and then if it is there, whether the content is write event. Yeah. Hello, this is first file, right? The content is there. So this took some time. Now, this we have used call. Okay. So the reason I am teaching event loop and I'm teaching the blocking code and how it handles in Node.js, because we have coming to the next part of handling this kind of data, that is the async patterns. And the async patterns are callback promises and async await, right? So this is the first example where I showed you how to manage reading and writing of file using callback. Now, the second approach is how to do it using promises. And for doing it in promises, what we do is simple, like I have explained it earlier also. Maybe I'll just create one more read file promise. Okay. And this promise is a new promise. Okay. Now, this promise will have a callback. So there will be either resolve the promise or reject the promise, right? And this will have, now this read file will be executed inside. Okay. Okay, let me do a comment here so that we don't disturb this case. Now this promise, what it does, this promise will accept a, okay, something I missed it. So these read file, Sasang, are understanding what I'm teaching?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you are trying to
Hmm.
uh, create a
Manage.
promise and make the file read and file out, is it?
Using a promise, how we are doing it. Basically, I get a promise. Why the problem with callback? Because of the callback hell. Like if I want to read multiple files, then I have to read so maybe one file after the other, like this. I have to read it, right? Because callback works in that manner only. If reading of the file and writing of the file is related, then the result of first, if I'm dependent on the result on the second, then I have to, do like this. If I'm not dependent on it, then I can create multiple callbacks separately, and then finally I can write it out. But how I write it if I don't read? Suppose I want to read three files, and then after reading their content, I have to kind of, write it, all the three content I'll take and then write it. How I'll do it, right? Is there any way in callback to do it? Because callback, so so if read file I'll do here, till here I'll do one read file, one more similar read file I'll do. Okay. After that, how should I have, I'll be doing is maybe I will store the values inside a variable, maybe a global variable I'll create and then store the values, and then while writing it out, I have to concatenate. That is one way, normal way without using a callback, right? Other way is using a read file inside read file inside read file inside read file, like that three times, and then inside that write file. Okay, that is second way with using callback, right? So there is a synchronous way of reading file and there is a asynchronous way. This is the asynchronous way we are studying using callback. Synchronous will be not the read file, but it will be read file sync. And the read file sync will take what? It will take that path and first text. And then what it does is that if you see the syntax, it is path you'll give, and then the options, the encoding obviously UTF-8 will give, then the flag will be appending or whatever, and then that much only. So basically like this, it will read the file, right? But this will not become, this will be a blocking code, right? But it will take time to read the file. Right? Similarly, for the second file, if I want to read, I have to read in this manner. So I will just write here second. So this is synchronously it is handling. So it will take time, right? File to read. And when I have to write it, then I just have to uh, write file sync. Content slash whatever. Whatever I can give result one. Yes, whatever. And then if I hover over it, what it is saying that you take the file file path or file description, then the data, and then the options. In the options, write file option, whatever you can give. But basically, if you see the example over here, whenever I'm hovering over it, you will see that, okay, there's no example. Basically, it is saying that you just pass the encoding. Okay. And then just how we have done, right? And here I have to just write here dollar of file1 plus file2. Okay, but this is completely blocking it. Right? Why? Because we are executing something synchronously. So this line number 16 will be not executed till line number 15 is getting executed. That means still we have not read the file number 1. We can't read file number 2. Right? Because this is completely synchronous, right? So to avoid this problem, to solve this problem, we are using a callback here, right? But with callback also, that callback help problem is there. So you are using now promise. Understood now?
Yeah.
Okay. Just go with the previous video. When you see now, there I explain nicely why read file synchronously, asynchronously you are handling. Right? Okay. Now with promise, what we will do? So read file promise is the first promise, which is reading the first file. Similarly, there will be one more promise which will read the second file. Now the benefit with promise is we can basically and then for the write, let me write for the write first. So for the write, so I have explained this. So for write file, if you create a promise, then it needs the read file data. So don't need to create a promise in that case for write, because we can directly read it after resolving the first and the second promise, right? So the first promise, if I resolve it, read file promise one dot then, right? And this I'll be, if there is a success, then I'll get the result. If there is an error, I'll just get error. I think it is catch. Yeah. So I'll catch the error part, right? And then inside this, I can, write the code further to manage this. So I can write the write over here, write file to get the result, to read the result from here, and then write the result over here. So I can just create the path and the data. But this is also not solving any problem, our problem. Why it will not solve our problem? Because if there are multiple, so same promises hell will happen, right? Instead of callback hell, promises. Why promises hell? Now I am here waiting for the promise to get resolved, and then I can write that is correct. Okay, for one file it is okay, but for the second file, what I have to do? Inside the then I have to create one more, this promise read file promise two is that also I have to resolve, right? But there are other ways also are also there. Like I can do a same thing again like this, right? Here I can do the same thing again for promises 2. Okay, and I can write it again here. Okay, this also is possible. Or there is a promise all concept that we know, through that also we can do it. Okay, but this is also not solving a problem, because a lot of code we are writing for just managing the read and write of simple files, right? So the next approach that we have, that we know, is an async and await, right? Which will be helping us to solve this problem, because promises also is like callback only right now, because similarly we have to uh, resolve or reject the promises multiple times whenever we are reading it, right? So for to solve this problem also, what we have to do is we have to maybe read, write file if one function will create where we're reading and writing. Huh? So there I can just file one, file, sorry. So file one equals to, I just write here await. So I'm waiting for, since I'm writing await here, I've tried here async here, else it will not work. Yeah. And I have to write here const here. So I'm waiting for what? I'm waiting for my read file promise one, right? Which will return a promise, right? So this guy needs what? This guy needs only the path, right? Because this guy needs, okay, I have to, so basically it needs the path over here. That path we can pass, right? Okay, how we'll pass, I'll just show you. Hmm? Right. Here, I just pass the path, and we can read the path from here. So I just write here the path. Okay. So it will get the path, because we are calling the this function and we are passing the path. Okay. If I hover over it, it is simply returning a promise. And when, since it is returning a promise, we can resolve this promise by using the await. So now it is waiting for the promise. So in that case, whatever lines of code we'll be writing here, that will, so we know that we have to wait for this line of code. That means basically this reading thing. Okay. So it will not wait, and it will move to the next line of code. Here, suppose I'll just write here a log over here, it will move to the next line of code, whatever. Hello. Right? Right? And for write also, since we are waiting for this await, we are writing here, right? So this file will receive what? This will receive promise. So we can now what we can do is that if we want to write it, we will write the path over here. As we can add any path, not a problem. And in this path, what I have to do is, this file one is there, right? So this is a promise again. So this is a, yeah, file one will receive a promise, right? Which means that I have to write it then. So this line of code I can write directly inside something like this, file one dot then, because I know that since a read file promise will return a promise, so file one will get a promise. So I can execute it by using then, and inside then I can write this line of code. That means this particular line of code. Okay, and this result I can write over here. Okay, whatever. Understanding little.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is how using promises, using async await, and using callback, we are handling the same thing, but async await is a better manner, right? And I just need to call this particular function. The same thing we are doing. One is the direct approach, one is the indirect approach using callbacks, The second way is using promise, and the third way is using async event. So, but here we are using both promises and async event to solve the same problem. So the faster approach is always async event. Okay, so any kind of code we'll be writing here will be mostly using async await for handling such kind of uh, blocking code, which can be made non-blocking by using async await and promises combination. So whenever you are writing await, that means I'm waiting for the result over here, and the result will be always a promise. So to resolve the promise, that means whatever you are getting over here, file one is nothing but a promise. So you can use then to resolve it. And then while writing it, just take the response over here and write it to the particular file path where you are want to write it. Okay. So when we'll be doing the more code na coding, then we'll understand what I'm trying. But this is only an example to explain the concept. Okay. Okay. Now let's go to the event. So what are events in Node.js? Basically, events like in UI, same like in UI, we're having click event, change event, some input based event, key based event, mouse based event, right? Similarly, Node.js also we are having event, but mostly we'll be working on custom. Now, why event is needed in Node? Because Node is a event based programming language, not a programming language, it's JavaScript only. But what I want to try to say is in Node we can write code, either the asynchronous code we have to write. That is one way of writing the code. Second is the event based code we have to write. Okay, so event driven code we can write, or this asynchronous way of writing the code is there. Okay, so for writing in an event, so in React also, or Angular also, or in UI normal JavaScript also, we can do two kind of code we write, right? One is we use event to manage the event. I mean, event based coding we write when we are using in the document.get embed ID or very little we do, and then we do a dot add event listener. So we will be listening to a custom event or a click event or a change event or whatever event we are listening. Then inside that, when this event has happened, we are inside the function we are writing all the code in JavaScript, right? Did the same thing in Node.js also. We will be catching these events, custom events, and after the catching the event, we will be writing asynchronous code. Understood, Jason? How will write code in Node.js?
Yeah.
Okay. So here in events in Node.js, it's like you I explained now. Now on is to listen to an event, like we are having on click, right? On change, on mouse over is in JavaScript, not in React. I think in Angular it is click and change and all those things directly. But in JavaScript we are having on click and see, and the second word will be I think capital letter or small letter. Not I'm forgetting. But React I think it is camel case. But in JavaScript there is no case I think, all in small letter, right? Similarly here also on is there to subscribe to an event, and emit is to there to emit an event. Okay,
What
or
is emitting an event?
I'll just write the code, I'll show you. But you understood, right? What is event?
Yeah, event I understood, but I didn't get what is emit.
I'll tell you. Now, first of all, we have to use the event module. So there is an events module in Node.js. Okay. Now this events module will be having a maybe event emitter. I get it. Now this event emitter is nothing but a class. That means I'm just using the event emitter class of events module. Now here we have to create a custom event. So this custom event is nothing but a new object of the event emitter. Okay, now it should be capital letter because of the classes should be in capital letter, not in small letter. Okay, now after I create this event, I can emit this event, right? So I'll just use custom y to emit an event. Only when I emit an event, someone will catch that event. And after catching that, basically event is used to pass data from from one part of your file structure to another part of the file structure. Okay, and this event concept is common to JavaScript. It's not like only for Node.js. It is there in JavaScript also. Okay, you have the event bubbling and propagation, that how it does, that is doing through this custom events only. Okay. Now, if I want to emit something, I'll just write here emit, and whatever I want to pass, I can pass maybe something. Hello. Okay. And if I have to catch over here, I have to write here, not only here, anywhere. So once you create an event, you can catch that event anywhere across your application. Okay. Now this emit, I have to give the event name. Okay. Maybe response is the event name. So, and the value is hello. So you see emit event name and then the value, whatever value you are passing. Right? See, this is the listener. And then when we are emitting, we are emitting the event and then the values we are emitting. And when we are catching it, using on, we are catching that particular event. And then we are listening to that particular event. Right? Okay. Which means that this is my event name. And when I catch the same event, then what I want to do? I want to read the data. Right? Now it is saying that you can read the data something like this on, and then you can have a callback, and inside the callback you can read the data, is what it is saying. Okay, and this will be the data. Okay, and then if I just log the data over here, it will be printing hello. See, it means that I emit this event in line app.js, line number 9. In some other file, if I want to catch it, I have to write the same code, but I have to write the same event that I'm passing, emitting the event, and whatever data. So basically, how to pass data between components in React. How we are passing in React. In React, we are passing using props, right? We are passing data using props in React. For smaller and for larger, we are passing through context API or Redux. And in Angular, we are passing same concept. We are passing data in Angular using signals we are passing, or the traditional approach in Angular. That means internally in JavaScript, if you see browser-based events, there is event bubbling and propagation. That means internally they are simply using these custom events and they are passing data from one page to another page. Okay, so it's a concept. I'm just teaching the concept. Once we do the coding, now you will understand. From the next class onwards, we'll be doing the starting the Express server will set up, and then we'll write all the REST APIs we'll create. So in that, all this knowledge will be coming into good use. Okay. So this is nothing but event-based programming, and this is how we are emitting the event. Okay. Next is streams. Streams is nothing but sequence of data, means how to read a sequence of data. So whatever file we read, when I use read file path name, I am reading the entire file at once. The content of the file. Now, if the content of the file is smaller content, then there is no problem, even if you use callback or promise or whatever. But if the content is larger, okay, in that case, what happens? It will not this, because we are storing the content inside what? Inside a normal variable only, right? So that variable will not contain can contain everything, because based on the so if the data is a string, it might give you 4 byte of space, right? Because in JavaScript you don't have a double, and all these concepts are not there to store data, right? So in that case, when you are reading a file, if the size is very large, then the variable is small content. Variable doesn't have so much space to handle or to store all this file, so the data will be lost, right? In that case, we can read the file in the form of streams. In the form of streams means little data from the same file we can read it. Understood? What the concept of streams? Okay. And there are 4 kind of streams that we can do. One is the readable stream, to read all the files sequentially, writable to write all the files sequentially, duplex is for read and write both, and transfer is we can modify the value what we are reading during writing or reading phase. Okay, these are the four kind of streams. I mean, do a lot of coding on streams when we will be studying socket and socket.js, sock.js, and socket-based programming, where we'll be reading data in the form of streams and we'll be executing it. Okay, but example, if I'll give you the chat application that we are all doing, right? That is a string-based service only, because we are thinking that immediately I am reading someone's chat, right? But it is not. So data is coming in the form of streams, not directly. So someone is writing one page of data in the WhatsApp, or do you think everything they are sending together at a time? No, right? One after the other they are sending it. It's like infinite scroll. In infinite scroll, we don't see the values directly. It will take some time and then it will show the data. It is that kind of a concept. But we'll do more in the next class. Shashank, understood?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So your task is to understand what is event-based programming and what is asynchronously how we'll write code. From the next class onwards, we will be starting Express, where we'll be writing all this, creating the APIs again. So these APIs, when we are creating now, we need all this concept like async programming, event-based programming, and streams and everything is needed. Okay, because if I show you, where it is, Express is there, then the Task Manager API is there, Store API is there. So here in these two APIs, we'll be doing all this concept that we have learned now. We'll be implementing it. Okay, and the Task Manager API also will be writing all these REST APIs using, sorry, in the Store API, will be creating a lot of REST APIs. We'll be using all this concept that we have studied right now. Then we'll go to JWT basics, where we'll be studying the token, how to get the token, how to do authentication, authorization, all those LDAP, XAML, and SSO authentication. All this we'll study that. Okay. Then file upload is there, and sending the EMI, eBay and Stripe payment, any kind of payment gateway, how we integrate it. Okay. So these 2, 3, 4 things are there, which we have to cover. So that will cover Node.js only. Okay. After Node.js, we have to study microservices, and there are so many
Mhm.
advanced microservices, and there are and with microservices comes a lot of other things also. That is, there is Kafka, there is Docker, Kubernetes, and pipeline knowledge is there. Then there is AWS knowledge is there. There is diagrammatic integration, which is essential for doing work in office, right? After Node.js, you have to definitely learn microservices, else there is no point in learning Node.js, because in office you have to work as a service. Microservices is 100% you have to learn.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. So that is the
Yeah.
approach. Yeah. Tell me. Find out.
No, no, no. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So these 4, 5 things are there. No, I'm hearing an echo. Any doubt you are having? You're asking
No,
something?
no, no, no. I just said okay, Santosh.
Okay. Fine. I'll upload this video. Just go through one more time. Okay. In the next class, what we'll be doing is that we'll be starting Express. We'll see how much we'll cover in Express, because Express is also big. It might take
Okay.
2 classes, minimum 2 classes. I'll try to do in 1 class only, because we will be just writing APIs now. We'll be getting APIs, but the concepts are there, like controllers and all those things are there, na? Routes and controllers. So that concept needs 1 class to understand, and then 1 class for the API to be done.
Okay.
Okay, man. Any final doubt?
No, sir. I understood. Yeah.
Hello, bye bye. Take care.
Yeah.